So traditionally, what we would do is you would start your business with funds from family and friends and your own funds, and try to grow the business to a point where it can be able to maybe access money from banks. So which has been a huge problem, because banks will only finance you if you meet certain criteria of having collateral, having books of accounts, having systems, and that kind of a thing. So angel invest in the other forms of investment are basically borrowed heavily from the US and the Europe, basically the West. So an angel investor is a person who would invest in your business model. Yeah, it's not that you have a business per se, but they can invest in an idea. Okay, so they can either do that by giving you expertise or their knowledge to help you grow, or they can help you through their networks to introduce you to clients, or they can be able to help you, introduce you to suppliers and that kind of a thing. And whenever an angel investor comes to a business, they can either give you cash or they can give you in-kind services, etc. And you always can agree on how that relationship would look like. Are you going to give them equity, or if they were to give you money, are they giving money at a low interest, or are they giving you money and they convert that money they give you into equity at a certain later stage? So angel investors are pretty much basic, very simple institution or individuals. So an angel investor can be an individual or can be an institution. So an individual could be a wealthy person, maybe, for example, such as Frida, who has some extra cash.
Amen.
Yeah, so someone who has a bit of money, either C-suite manager, who can give you money and probably get some shares, etc., etc. So, but before angel investors, I also need to mention it chronologically, is whenever you start your business and you have a business idea, sometimes you need what we call risk capital, meaning that you need capital to test out your idea. For example, I want to start a beauty shop, for example. I have not gone out to the market. I have not done any market research. So chances are there you can get grant funding, which is almost free money that can help you test out your idea, so that you can be able to see if the business model is working or it's not working. Sometimes angel investors can also give you grants, or you can just get grants from any other institution, either government, departments, or or even NGOs and those kind of institutions. Chances are you can be able to. You are better off if you know you don't have a solid business model. Chances are you can be able to apply for a grant and be able to secure and test out your model, test out your business to see if it's workable or not.
Okay.
So we have grants, we have angel investors, then we have venture capital. So as your entity is growing, sometimes you need, and I'm saying sometimes, it's not every other business that requires venture capital. Actually, I just wrote an article yesterday on SMEs need to grow their business better and not bigger. Yeah. So there has been this craze. Yeah.
Have you shared that already?
Yeah, it's on my blog, and it's on social media. Okay, so there has been this push for people to grow their business faster and bigger. Yeah, and this push is coming basically from venture capital, who are basically investors. So it's basically like a bank, but they don't use the normal criteria of a bank. They will probably not look at your bank statement and collateral, but probably would look at the veracity of your business model. That is, are you able to make money? So a business model is basically as simple as, what is the logic of you making money? If there's no logic to you making money, then there's no business. Yeah, so they're looking at business model, they're looking at the team, they're looking at the founder, and other criteria other than the traditional metrics that financial institutions use. And obviously, as investors, they are looking to make a return. And this return usually is in the horizon of maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So venture capitalists always are looking to exit. So they invest in your business, looking for you to looking for for very quick growth, and growth means your valuation of your business goes up, and they can be able to sell out or exit at some future agreed point. So you can see venture capital have a tendency to ensure that your business grows as fast as possible for them to exit. The downside sometimes with a venture capitalist is you might not have a shared vision, in the sense that you are very passionate about your business, you're passionate about your customers and offering solutions. Here you get an investor who is looking for to exit. For you to, it's like fattening a cow.
That's right.
Yeah, so you're fattening the cow for slaughter. So that's basically the kind of approach venture capital uses. So in terms of, now if we move to private equity funds, they're basically bigger venture capital. They are looking at maybe minimum of 100 million ticket size of businesses. So they're not looking to give you small money. They're looking for the Javas, people who are doing turnovers of 200 million plus. Yeah, so because it doesn't make sense for them to invest in smaller institutions. So that's basically that in terms of the different sets of investors.
Thank you so much, Victor. And but for those of you who are listening in, please put your questions in the question and answer. Victor will be able to answer your questions so that we can flow. In order, put your questions in the question and answer. Lucy has seen your question. We'll make sure we get to it at the end. So Victor, you can carry on. Thank you so much for that very well explained, very good explanation of the different kinds of financing. Carry on, sir.
Yeah. So now, going back to the 29 SME finance report, like I said, we just wanted to help other players understand the sizes of, just basically the SME finance space from the perspective of SMEs. And the top, like I can mention just the top financial needs for businesses that we interviewed. Yeah. So number one was expansion to untapped markets. And this, based on hindsight and just from interacting with the SMEs, is due to, and this is very unique to Kenya, is due to the consistent disruption through politics. So the last 3 years, a lot of businesses have said, business has been very, very difficult. Yeah, so it came out as a top financial business need because people want to diversify. You don't want to be disrupted. You want to, whenever there is politics in Kenya, business comes to a standstill. So the idea of getting finance to reach untapped markets is to help you diversify, or SMEs diversify their portfolios, so that even in case there is disruption in Kenya, they can still have sales outside the Kenyan market. So that's probably the reason why it came out top as a top financial need. The second one was purchase of equipment, and again this drives to the point of SMEs. Majority of financial products in Kenya currently are very short term, and we'll mention that even with Stawi. So a lot of financing in Kenya is given up to a year. And you realize for you to really invest and unlock value in your business, you need long-term investment in assets. And this came out from this survey. The third being new product development. Again, just a lot of people looking to invest in their business in a longer time manner. The last two being paying monthly utilities, and financing existing business orders. And I think it's a challenge. You looking for financing to pay your monthly business utilities. That you should be able to cover that at the very least from your own profits and from normal revenue, which is something that is very concerning to me. As borrowing to pay your rent and to pay your electricity.
Wow.
That is very alarming. In terms of difficulty in accessing finance, again, this is looking majorly from financial institution point of view. It's majority of SMEs find it very, very difficult to access money from banks. And like I said earlier, is majorly because of the criteria that banks use to finance businesses. Banks are in business, so they're looking at their return. If you look at the way they price their loans, is always cost of funds, which is the cost of the deposit, profit margin, and risk. And because SMEs are very risky in the sense that they don't keep books, they don't have collateral, it becomes very, very difficult for banks to give money to SMEs. And basically that's that in terms of the report. You'll always note that our reports are very short and concise because we realize also Kenyans don't like reading a lot. Yeah, so it's very short, it's very concise. Even a Mama Mboga can just look at it and say, okay, now I understand.
I really like the way they're short and concise. And I had a question here. When I looked at the amounts, it shows that over 1 million was just 27%. So what should these numbers tell us? You know, the numbers over here where you talk about 1 to 50,000, 27% had borrowed that. And then also you said that venture capitalists look for bigger businesses that need $1 million, 100 million, or $1 million and above. So are we really ready for venture capital? Because if you're saying over 1 million Kenya shillings was just 27%, and now also on the other, if we go back to the other slide, I noticed that private equity, not venture capital, venture capital and private equity, 2019, there was no percentages. And then when I look over here, when I look at the amounts we are borrowing, I'm wondering, are we ready for these people?
That's interesting. What the people are saying, Africa is the next growth frontier, and
yes.
Everyone believes Africa is going to be big, except Africans themselves.
God.
Yeah, so,
okay.
So a lot of we are seeing, and they are doing the analysis. A lot of people from outside Africa are looking at the population. Africa has a very young population, and we are growing at almost 10% annually. So it's the next frontier in terms of skilled labor, both skilled and unskilled labor, and basically even selling products. So every other institution is trying to position themselves to play to play in Africa, and a lot of even entrepreneurs from the West are coming to set up shop in Africa. So even as they come to set up shop in Africa, it means that even their financiers in the form of venture capital and private equity is coming to Africa. So only us Africans who've not realized have not realized that there is a low hanging fruit and there is an opportunity. If you going to this report, we just wanted to find out what sizes of loans or financing SMEs are using. And the particular slide shows that, so that in terms of 1 to 50, 1 shilling to 50,000, 27% is what SMEs are borrowing. And because if you look at our sample size, is basically distributed from micro businesses up to small medium businesses. So a lot of these small ticket size financing is for either micro or small businesses who constitute a majority of SMEs. So a lot of SMEs are on the spectrum, are on the micro and the small. So medium, you're looking at people doing turnovers of between 20 to 100 million. So a lot of small businesses are the ones who are borrowing, and you can see they constitute over 70% of that spectrum. So the over 1 million, 27%, chances are these are either small or to medium-sized enterprises, but they are a small majority. So a majority of us are still very small businesses doing turnovers of maybe 5 million and below. Yeah, so on the survey there, if you look to the slide that you just touched on, I think on the first slide, on the type of financing received by businesses in the last 1 year, on the survey we listed all manner of of financing, so including
Yes.
grants and venture capital and private equity. And we had to put it on the report so that because it's a trend that is catching on, and because next year we are going to do a similar survey, and we want to ensure that it's not lost, that these two types of financing. Like I said, if you read and you are familiar with what is happening in the ecosystem, there is a growing trend of accelerators coming into play. So by accelerators, I mean programs or institutions that are coming to help businesses be investor ready. So I think that's the whole idea of having accelerators or incubators, so that can we incubate these businesses to scale fast.
Okay.
Yeah, so and that's where probably venture capital and private equity funds come to play. So the challenge has been a lot of, and this is almost unsaid. It's not something that is said openly in the ecosystem. Is a lot of startups and businesses that are being financed by venture capitalists and private equity are Kenyan, but are foreign, are owned or founded by foreigners.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
has been an uptake or a surge in a lot of, you'll hear it on the newspaper that a Kenyan company has secured 50 million USD or whatever. But the truth is, a majority of these institutions or startups that are accessing finance from these big ticket financiers are founded by a foreigner or as a Kenyan as a face, but we have a foreigner backing them at the back. So that's why I feel that indigenous Kenyan startups and SMEs are still not ready to be able to access this kind of financing. And because of the craze, we are just, most of us will just start any flimsy business with the idea of growing, not focusing on the business model and customer and growing organically. We are now focused on building big institutions because the venture capitalists want scale, and they want you to prove that you can actually grow very fast. Doing projections and you getting financing based on projections. So you'll find someone taking up space in Kilimani, paying rent of 180,000, hiring the best of the best, having tea and coffee in the office, anticipating and using investor money, anticipating that your revenue will catch up to the very high expenditures that you have. Yeah, so and that's the situation. You can read the article that I just wrote yesterday. It's basically the same thing. And we need to slow down. We need to focus on our customers. We need to grow our business organically, and financing becomes a byproduct of the success that you have growing organically.
I like that. It should be a product of, not of what is happening, not what we are wishing.
Yes.
Oh my God, that is so amazing. And I like that conversation, Victor. So what do you think if you can just tell us one or two things that we are not doing well that we could start with, what comes to your mind?
Like I said, for me, every time that question is asked, even for me as a business person, is focusing on the customer, focusing on validating a problem. I don't like for me, what I do is I do not give you a product. I would validate the challenge that you have or the problem that you have, and go back and try to give you a solution to the challenge. Yeah. So, like for example, it's an example I like giving. Is, for example, for you to be clean, you need to take a shower with soap and water.
That's right.
So your challenge is clean.
Yes.
Yeah. So if I came with a tablet and with a pill and told you, take this pill and you will be clean. Do you know you will take it? Not because you like soap and water, but your problem is you want to be clean. So the problem, the challenge with a lot of us, we just go, we copy paste already existing solutions and try repackage it differently.
Yeah.
So there is no innovation in whatever sense. So, and this is what we see all this in Africa, in Kenya and in Africa. There's a lot of what I call kondo, not kondo. Kondo is a Kiswahili word. a sheep mentality, in the sense that we have too many car washes.
But we have many cars too, Victor.
I agree. But if, for example, in a street, and that's why these businesses fail at a very high rate. In one street, you can have 10 car washes. Even if you say we have many vehicles, you can't have 10 car washes in one street. And this is the challenge we have in terms of having a mortality rate, a death rate of 75% in 3 years. A lot of businesses are failing. They start, yes, but the failure rate is very high. Why? Is because our business models are not thought through. We don't look there. Africa has too many problems. If each person was to solve, you'd build a thriving business without having to struggle.
Oh wow, that is so. The business and the idea of too much copying without knowing who the customer is going to be.
We are lazy. What I say, we are lazy in the sense that we don't look at business as a science. Business is a science. We don't just sit with my friends.
Science. I like that.
We don't sit. This is what we do. We sit with our friends over coffee, over whatever drink, and decide randomly to start something because we saw Frida doing it.
I really like what you're saying there, Victor, because yesterday where was I speaking? Oh, I was speaking to some entrepreneurs in Nakuru, and I was making fun. One of the problems that we have as business owners is we don't have good information to make right decisions. And that's why I value, for those who are listening, I value what Victor does, because he's working very hard to give us good information for our market. A lot of information we get on Google is not for us. It's really Western, it's very Western based. And what Viffa is doing is giving us information that can help us create solutions for where we are. Oftentimes when a business owner has a problem, what does he or she do? He goes to their favorite WhatsApp group that might not even have business owners, just has some random people, ask a question, share an idea, and use that information. And you wonder why we are not growing. So you can't just collect ideas from anywhere and anybody and not get good information, make decisions out of that and expect to grow. So what Victor is saying is true. So in that sense, I agree that we are lazy. We are lazy in not investing in the appropriate information and support that we need to grow and become who we can be. Victor, thank you so much for that comment.
Yeah. Probably I can give you another example. If you were to, if for example you wanted to build a house, I'm sure you just don't come assemble workers and start building. You probably sit down, pay an architect to give you a model of the house that you want, and make changes based on paper, because it's very costly for you to try to change a mistake after you've started building. It's cheaper to rub on an architectural drawing rather than incur the loss or the cost of a mistake when you're building. And that's the cost that we pay as business people. Probably Frida would call you and tell you, okay, now let's do a business plan. Let's look at your business model. Let's put it on a canvas. Let's just think through it before we start, because it's cheaper for you to pay Frida whatever amount, or whatever amount, for you to look at your business before you start, rather than randomly starting. Then you make mistakes. You've probably taken a loan from a bank. Then you realize that there are no customers and things like that. So it's very important that you will look at our businesses or whatever we want to start as science. Do your feasibility studies, do your research before you even start. So that by the time you're starting, at least you know the probability you've calculated your risk. They say, business is not random risk, or is just brainless risk, but is taking calculated risk. And by calculated risk, it means that you need to do a bit of research to understand the kind of business you want to start, the kind of industry, the kind of customers, and if really you are really going to solve customer challenges or customer problems. As long as you are solving customer problem, growth is automatic. We don't focus on growth. You focus on the customer, and the customer will grow your business.
I like that. That if you focus on the customer, growth will grow. And what I find so painful is that most business owners that I speak with don't know their customer and have a tendency to think that what they're selling everybody can buy. And I often say that if you focus on everybody, you will get nobody. And I like using the example of a restaurant. We have restaurants in Eastlands and we have restaurants in Westlands. And all these restaurants have people eating, but there are different foods in them. So if one restaurant was good enough for everybody, then there wouldn't be differences in restaurants. So I like what you say, that when we focus on our customers, the business will grow. And so for those of us who are listening, we need you to think critically. Why do you exist as a business, and who are you serving, and why are you serving them? If you disappeared today, would they miss you? Would they even notice that you are no longer here? So oftentimes I find that business owners are very enthralled with their passion, what they love doing. And they say, I love doing this, I love these colors, I love this, I love the other, which is great, but you must remember that you are not going to buy the product. You are creating this thing to serve somebody else. And you need to be sure that that somebody else will also love it, and love it enough to put them a hand in their pocket and give you some money. All right. So very good thoughts there, Victor. Do you want us to carry on to the next slide, or would you like to get into Stawi now?
Um, yeah, so I, I can we can talk about Stawi.
Okay, so I'm just going to bring up the slide here. Stawi espouses to offer unsecured loan products ranging from 30,000 up to 250,000, with repayment profiles of 1 to 12 months at an interest of 9% per annum, with other costs pushing it higher. Stawi is an initiative by Central Bank and a couple other banks. I think there's NIC, CBA, and DTB. And Victor is going to be talking to us about it. So Victor, help us understand who is Stawi and why Stawi?
Um, the background around Stawi is obviously is M-Pesa. So, you know, M-Pesa has proved to be a challenge to financial institutions in the sense that M-Pesa has really eaten into the revenue of financial institutions. Two is also Stawi is a response to a surge in fintechs, financial technology companies, in the name of Mshwari's, Branch, Tala, and all these other fintech organizations that have come that are charging exorbitant interests, you know, almost of 180% annually.
Sorry.
So that has been a challenge, and banks, given that they're regulated by the central bank, they and you know, with the interest rate cap at 14%, it meant that banks you know, cannot be able to give a rejoinder to these other fintechs. And there's a piece of legislation, I forget its name, that is in Parliament that seeks to regulate fintech companies. We also did a survey this year on mobile credit. Although a lot of SMEs have taken it up because banks are not financing, there's still some challenges with a lot of this mobile credit in terms of it's very costly. Issues of privacy, issues of data, you know, and issues of customer protection in case of anything are still very gray areas. So as a fintech, we most of us probably welcome it, and a lot of micro businesses have really taken up a lot of this mobile credit. Mama Bogas, who are looking to what we do, just what is called financing existing order. So meaning that I just buy a basket of tomatoes in the morning, I sell in the course of the day and repay. And that's where the challenge, my challenge with a lot of this mobile credit is they are only financing cash flow. It's what we call cash flow financing. So it's not to grow your business, but they basically are funding a cycle. You know, we are just in a rat race, buy, sell, buy, sell. But because of the interest rate, it means that you can't be able to grow your business. Yeah. So two is in terms of Stawi, and this is just my own analysis of the product.
That's right.
I feel that the 9% is not the correct, is not the equilibrium price of you know, by the banks. if you look at the way, for example, banks price their loan products, it has three components. One is the cost of funding. So meaning that the money that a depositor puts, the interest that they give, which is around, for argument's sake, around 4%.
Okay.
Then the second component is the profit that the bank intends to get from the loan. So a majority are usually around 7%. So that's already 10% of the price of that loan. So it doesn't make sense for them to do at 9. And we've not even factored risk. And risk, again, if you can do another 3-4%, it means that minimum they should be charging 14% annual interest without, if you have to look at the full cost of a loan. So I feel there are a lot of hidden charges. If you look at it, there is insurance, there is excise duty and stuff. So I think it's an introductory price to try to, if you've done marketing, introductory price is it's not price skimming. Just going low in the hope of outpricing your competitors, so that they either close shop or reduce their prices for you to be able to get a market share of sorts. So again, looking at, for example, small businesses in construction, they're already out. That product cannot be able to serve them, because if you look at the nature of construction, for example, is very capital intensive. So again, that's out. So I'm thinking the product would basically serve micro businesses who, and you can see they're already piloting in Gikomba. So chances are,
oh my God, it's not for us.
It's not for us, ideally. For me, I think if the other fintech products, branch and the likes, can be able to rejig their model to take on longer term credit. Like if you've seen from our report, a lot of SME financial needs of SMEs is around product development, is around buying new equipment, is around moving into untapped markets. And these are not financing, these are not short-term financing. If you're buying an equipment, chances are is a big ticket size item, would cost maybe 200, 300, 400, or even $1 million. So it means for you to recoup, your payback period we are looking at around 2 to 3 years. So you don't expect short-term financing to solve your long-term problems. So I think that's where our challenge is. And chances are then if fintechs can't solve, then probably looking at angel investors, looking at venture capital probably is the way to go. And like I said, you probably, if you're going to them, it means that you have to have a very solid business model. You need to at least revenue, have consistent revenue. And by revenue, it does not mean getting new clients every day. It's even as simple as having a repeat client. So if Frida is coming to buy my product each and every day, I might not be growing, but at least I've proven that at least someone believes in the product and you're solving a certain issue. So it's just a question of trying to replicate that and to grow naturally. Yeah, so the challenge, if you try to grow by showing growth by saying, I am getting 1 million customers, for example, in the next 3 years, that argument might not work for example, you going to a venture capital or an angel investor. You just need to show and prove that I'm making revenue and I already have consistent and repeat clients, even if they are small or if they are few. Then it's probably that is the direction or trajectory that most of us or small businesses should start looking at.
So that means, so they want to see that you're making money, bottom line. Is that correct?
Yes, but not just making money blindly, but you are solving your business. Your business model is solid in the sense that the customer, even if they are 2 or 3, appreciate that you're solving their challenge. Sometimes you can grow by doing a lot of hype. You can do a lot of social media marketing. You can go to mainstream media, advertise, and make sales. But that's not sustainable in the sense that someone is buying your product or is taking your service out of emotion. You want someone to just logically see the challenge that you're solving, and they make a business decision of buying your product. That's why you find that if you are to grow solidly, you will not grow as fast. It takes time for you to get customers. It takes time for for customers to appreciate your product. You cannot be an overnight success.
It's not possible.
It's
I
not.
wish
But
there
that's
were
what,
overnight successes.
but that's what is being perpetuated in business and entrepreneurship in Kenya. That you can actually start your business and go to Lions Den, win 10 million or 1 million and become a millionaire immediately. And that's what I'm saying is not sustainable.
It's not at all. And I like what you're saying, Victor, because these businesses are not sustainable because there's no big why. That is what I think. What do you think? Because most of the time we are starting a business because I can't get the job. I have to pay bills, all right? So if I just start selling something and making money, whoa, see, I'll make money and meet that need. So, go ahead.
Again, based on our experience, we see a lot of businesses, especially young businesses run by young entrepreneurs, going into business because entrepreneurship has been romanticized. So it's very romantic for you to start your own venture
instead of getting employed by someone.
Yes, so that's and we are looking again on the second bit is we are looking at business people who want to finance their already lavish lifestyle. So you take your office, you set up shop in Kilimani or in Westlands. You move from your house in Kawangware.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So what will pay for my lavish lifestyle if not my business? What do you propose?
So that's the problem. So you're using vehicle as an excuse to finance a lifestyle that you can't sustain. Business is a question of persevering, having a solid business model. I can give you an example of a friend of mine who runs iPay. iPay is a payment gateway platform that was started.
Oh, iPay, friend, I like that platform. They've done a fantastic job.
So both Philip and Steve are very good friends of mine, and I've worked with that company we've been with that company since they started 10 years ago. So it's only this year that they actually got interest from investors in the form of Opera Mini to buy them out. They have built that business for 10 solid years. They are working with Qualcomm, they are working with Airtel. Their payment gateway who uses all those M-Pesas, M-Shwaris, credit cards, and everything. So you can imagine it's a startup, but it's a 10-year-old startup, and it's taken them 10 solid years for them to reach a point where they can be able to access financing. And whenever we have discussions around financing at that level, it's at arm's length.
Yes.
Meaning that you are not being exploited by an investor. You're not desperate. Your numbers speak for yourself, for you. There is nothing that you're trying to convince. Is look at my numbers, tell me what you can offer me.
Wow. So they're selling off their company?
So the Opera Mini has seen the product as something of value to their portfolio.
Okay.
So they are offering to buy shares. So you can decide to either sell out completely or a chance, and those negotiations are continuing, or to just sell out completely or to sell a bit of shares and have them be part of the company. So it takes time. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort, and it takes you to really focus and just be friends with your customers. Be friends with them and ensure that you are continually solving their challenges.
Be friends with, know your customer. You really emphasize that point that we really have to know our customer. And I find that a lot of times we don't really know our customer. Sometimes we are griping about our customer. So those of us listening in, please pay attention to your customer, know their pains, know what they're aspiring to be, what are their likes, what are their dislikes, where do they hang out, what problem do they really have, and how can your solution really help them? So Victor, when we come back to Stawi, can I now download the app? Can I now start borrowing money, or what can you tell us?
No, the product is being piloted, I think, for 2 or 3 months in Gikomba.
So only Gikomba people can get it?
So it is being, like any other product, it's being piloted to see if it works, what are the glitches, can they solve, because before they do a national rollout.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's the stage where the product is. You know, the thing with government is they like announcing things before, then they go back and work on the thing. So they don't announce after they've, you know, done everything, then say, now we have a product. It's very similar to the credit guarantee scheme that government announced. It's
Yeah.
way far from being you know, being implemented. But they like announcing things, which creates confusion in the market.
I like that. It creates a lot of confusion. So, if you're as a business consultant, what are 2 or 3 things that you'd advise our listeners today on running a successful business? What are some two
One,
or three?
yeah. So one for me, I always say, just look at your business as a science. Don't we can't run your business on whim or on gut feeling. You need to
No gut
build.
feeling here. I hope the women are listening.
Yeah, so we need to stop this idea of doing business as usual. We need to look at our business, even not even business, even the product that we have as a science. Can we do a full product development cycle? Can you ensure that your product is able to, or can you be able to, if you don't have a product, can you be able to validate the challenges of a business? And it's not just talking to random people. Can you be able to document that process? Go out to customers. Who did you talk to? What were their challenges? Okay, and if go back, develop a product, then go back to the customer. We have a product or we have something that can solve the challenges. Ensure that you document that for your own sake, but also for investor sakes. At some point, you probably would want to get maybe some form of investment. They would want to see that you've actually done your homework. You've actually talked to clients. You didn't sit on your laptop and come up with something. And Kenyans, we're very bright. We are very good at developing documents. Sit
Okay.
on your computer and do a document and say, okay, now this is my product development, whatever. Ensure that you talk to customers. Yeah. And I think for me that if you're able to talk to your customers and solve that problem, I guarantee you'll have very few problems or challenges in your business. Two is we need to move away from the philosophy of looking at your competitors. I know that is one of the, going through a strategic planning process. You're always told focus on the competitors. The problem is most of us focus on the competitors, looking at their growth and thinking we should be growing at the rate our competitors are growing. We should be eating on their market share. Your problem is not your competitor or the market share. Your problem is your customer. Hello?
Sorry, there's somebody ringing the doorbell here. So when you say that we should look at our business as a science, look at product development, validate our products, focus on the customer and not on the competitor.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. So that's number one. Another point.
Like I said, there's a philosophy that I always operate with.
Yes.
Make life as simple as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. So why I say this is because sometimes and this is my second point, is from the get-go, we focus to grow our business. We don't focus to better our business. Those are two different approaches. So if you focus on growing your business, you anticipate revenue. You might even get into a trance or notion that I have a very good product and I want to grow. So it means you're making business decision of growing, of trying to scale because you anticipate revenue to jump quickly.
Yes.
So it means that you make the business decisions of hiring when you should not be hiring, moving into office spaces that you should not be moving. Yeah, because we are dragged into this idea of growth, perpetual growth. Sometimes and I'm reading a book called A Company of One. Why staying small is the next big thing for business, by Paul Jarvis. So his hypothesis is sometimes you do not need to grow a huge business. What you need to do is better your business to serve multiple clients with limited resources. Because we always assume more is better. For me to serve 1 million customers, I need to grow my sales force by a certain percentage. I need to move to a bigger space. So the question is how better, the question that we should be asking is how better can we serve 1 million customers with,
Yeah.
with the limited resources that we have. So sometimes
Yeah.
this would push you to look at softwares, like right now we have, sales funnel softwares, we have QuickBooks, we have a lot of technology that we can use to serve the more customers without growing
Yeah.
the size of business significantly.
Okay.
And because this is Africa, you get social standing if you say, I run a company with 10 employees and we are located in Westlands.
Yeah.
That has to stop.
I think I like those. I like those 2 points. You say we need to look at business as a science, and we need to keep it simple. I think you bring out a very important point there when you say we need to grow. We need to focus on being better instead of growing. And I think if we focus on being better, we will still grow.
I'm saying bigger, not grow, bigger.
Yeah. Say that again. So you said we should focus on being better or being bigger.
We should focus on being better, not bigger.
Not bigger.
Because growing, you'll grow. Growing, you'll grow.
So that's what I'm saying, that if we focus on being better, of course we will end up growing. So it's just what do we focus on first?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll grow bigger. We'll focus on being better. And as we focus on being better, we will grow. And as we are growing bigger and growing very well. Victor, it has been such a pleasure having you. We have a few questions here. Lucy Mururi says, kindly share more on how to do a feasibility study. I don't think he's gonna have the opportunity to do that now because our time is up. However, you can contact him. Victor, please give me your contact so I can put it here on the answer. The thing about it, I've noticed that a lot of entrepreneurs try to come for short free events where we give information, and then you try to get a full-fledged answer. Please understand that when you go for an event that is free, that is short, the purpose of that event is to give you some information, create some awareness, then you go out and dig for more. So don't try to get your problem solved in short little webinars, all right? So be willing to get information that you need and continue the process. Like today I brought for you Victor. Don't try and milk everything out of Victor in this 1 hour. You will not make it. So Victor, please give me your telephone, the phone number you prefer, so I can put it here on the answer question. Victor,
0723
0723
98
98
25 28.
25 28. All right. So just like when you have a child, you have to take them to the clinic to be measured and to get the right inoculation. Be willing to do that for your business. You don't try to find free doctors here and there to treat your child. Your child will never grow right. So there are things that you need for your business. Be willing to invest in those things so your business can grow right. So Victor can help you develop a feasibility study. Absolutely. Victor can also help you do a full business plan. He can help you do a research. So please reach out to him. I have put his contact in the answer question. Victor, thank you so much for joining us today. And good people, our time is up. If you need to contact us, what we do is provide mentoring, networking, and access to capital. So in networking, we are able to connect you with people like Victor and other kinds of consultants that you may need to grow your business. Our contact is on the screen. I've given you Victor's contact also in the answer, and I'm going to put Victor's contact on Facebook also for those who, if you go to our Facebook page, you're going to find it there. So thank you so much, everyone. And that is all for today. Victor, thank you so much. I'm going to go and read your latest blog. God bless you.
Asante san. Have a nice one.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.